from the top. Hello and welcome to this video on how to drape a map over a mesh created from a digital elevation model using Blender and the BlenderGIS plugin. We're going to be using data that we had already prepared beforehand. Watch for a video we'll upload soon on how we got this data and how we prepared it for Blender. There's a little bit of a process, but it is fairly simple. So let's start by laying down our map. So this is the map that we created and prepared. So we're going to make sure this is on a new plane, and we want to set the coordinate reference system. So I like to include the coordinate reference system that I use in the name of the file so that I know what I'm working with. So let's search for 26743, and we've got our coordinate. So let's add that. So now when we import this, this should be ready to go. Alright, so we've got our base map here. So this is going to be the background. We're going to be making a raised portion above the center of the map here. I like to change this to a matte rendering, so it just looks a little bit more velvety, less plasticky. So let's get our DEM out here. So for this, we're going to have to use the raw data build. All of these should be the default. We've now set the scene for our CRS that we're going to be using. So let's import that. Alright, here we go. So this, we did downsize our DEM to just make it a little bit easier to work with and render quickly. We're going to shade smooth to hide some of that pixelation. And I want to see a little bit more exaggeration of scale here. So let's mess with our Z-scale here in the transform window and see if we can push that up to a little bit more of a recognizable state. So let's get it up pretty high there. Maybe like 3.5. All right. We're going to be using this to align our camera. So let's expand it to cover the map, because otherwise our camera will only show this portion. We want to also have the camera include our bottom base map. So I'm going to do our scale tool and just pull this to resize uniformly. Alright, we're now covering the entire map, so our camera should reach that. So I'm going to add it from the GIS menu, go to Camera, and GeoRender. So now our camera will cover the full area of the map, and we're going to get this back down to the size it should be. So go back to this top view, and let's scale it right back down. Alright, looks like we're where we need to be. So now we're going to overlay some imagery over this DEM here. So let's go back to our map, choose base map on mesh, use all these default settings, but we want to make sure we're on the DEM, not the map. So let's import that. It's going to take a moment to lay that over the mesh. And once it's finished, we're going to find a lighting source to light up our rendering scene with. Alright, as you can see here, we've now overlaid the map over our map, our elevation model. So you can see that we've kind of warped it around the mesh. So next thing, we want to cast a few shadows. So I'm going to set in a light source. So I'm going to use a sun just because it's simple, works well, and quick. And we're going to go back to moving. So let's move it up above the plane, and I'm going to move it west. Alright, so at this point, I'm going to set the angle of the sun to be a little bit more extreme here. Okay, so at this point we've got our lighting, we've got our camera, which is showing us the entire map, and we've got our light source, so we're almost ready to render. We just need to make sure we've got everything set up properly. So we need to make sure that we're set to render using the add-on Cycles Render Engine. And we want to make sure we're not rendering a ridiculous size like 36,000 pixels. So let's drop this down. 3,000 by 4,000 should give us a quick, fairly high quality render. It'll look nice. Okay. I think we're all set. So let's hit render, or F12. This is going to open up a new rendering window. While this is rendering, just want to talk about a few of the options here. Obviously, you can experiment with different maps, different areas, different scales, and also different lighting sources. You could try multi-directional lighting sources. And another thing you can do is, once you're finished rendering, you can export it as an image and play with the colors and brightness a bit in Photoshop or another image editing software like GIMP. For mine, I'm going to try and edit out a few of the white sections on the edge of the map here and put it over some sort of uniform background, get rid of the black areas. But as you can see, we've got some nice subtle shadow. Looks like a map lit by lamplight. And you can adjust the intensity of the light, try to get some shadows over on this edge, or drop it really low so we have really exaggerated shadows through the canyons. There's a lot of ways to play around with this. This is a very rough take on this process. This is very simple, so I encourage you to experiment and refine some of these basic steps. And please leave any tips, issues, or ideas in the comment section. Thank you.